Hey everybody, good afternoon. Sean Arthurs here. We'll give people about another minute to get started. In the meantime, I'm going to put up a poll if you could just do that while we're waiting. We have a couple more people who registered to attend, and I'm waiting on them. And I already know some people could not attend, so we'll give, we will be circulating a YouTube video of this afterwards, so it'll be easily accessible and shareable. And we're also happy to share the slides. I'm just waiting for one or two more people to vote. %94 voted. Let's see if we can get those last two votes in. One vote. All right. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm hoping you can hear me. My name is Sean Arthurs. I'm Senior Manager at National PTA. I'll introduce myself a little bit more in a second. But first, I wanted to begin. Congratulations. You are the first 35 winners of the 2018 STEM Plus Families Tech Night grant sponsored by Microsoft. In fact, you're the first 35 winners of the any year STEM Plus Families Tech Night grant. So congratulations. Really excited to be here. There were more than 280 applications from across the country. Many of them were excellent, and yours really rose to the top because we saw the need for a tech night in your community. We also saw how you were planned to make sure that family engagement really happened at your event. And then we saw how you're going to welcome all families. Congratulations, you deserve it. Okay, I'm going to close this poll so you can see the main screen. And we're going to get started. So again, this is being recorded. I will send it out afterwards. There's going to be lots of pictures and things in here to help you. And we're also going to take some questions, but let me go ahead and you can see that is me on the right. I'm Sean Arthurs. I'm Senior Manager, Education Initiatives. And you'll see on the left, Alyssa Monchal, who is going to be our project manager for the Microsoft, for the grant. So you'll be getting, I know some of you, well, you've all already gotten emails from both of us. Alyssa is a former teacher, very experienced, and she's actually on the webinar.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much to the folks who have already responded to my email from yesterday. I'm really happy to work with you all.
All right, and my name is Sean Arthurs. I'm also a former teacher, and I've been doing, been at the National PTA just a little bit over a year, and I've been running the STEM Plus Families Initiative. Really excited about that. Some of you may know about the Mathnasium and our Bayer partnerships, and also ThinkFun. And really excited to be working on the Microsoft Tech Nights. So goal in this webinar, we would like to bring we know there are lots of questions. We would like you to leave with fewer questions than you came in with. We would also like you to leave having a pretty good sense of what the next steps are and how this is going to happen. So I'm going to talk very, very briefly about STEM Plus Families. I think if you're on this webinar and you applied and you received the grant, then you know what? You're a believer in STEM, and the importance of it is its importance both to our national and international competitiveness, our economy, how important it is to our kids for getting jobs and for getting thinking skills, and also how they're, especially in underserved communities, girls, children of color, and schools and children of low socioeconomic, it's more challenging to get good STEM experiences. The National PTA and Microsoft are committed to reversing those trends, and we're happy to work together. Then we'll talk about some information. I'm actually going to give you some pictures and links to so you can visualize this in your head. I know that always helps me. We'll talk about our toolkit, and we'll take any questions. Now, In terms of any questions, let me just point out, especially if you're one of your first times on GoToWebinar, everybody is on mute right now, and that's not just because I have like to hear myself talk. Well, that may be part of it, actually, full disclosure, but it's actually because we want everyone to be able to hear, and we know sometimes folks are driving or typing on keyboards or just coffee, and we've had teachers participating from schools, and sometimes there's kids, so we want everyone to be able to hear. So we've got everybody on mute, but we definitely want to hear your questions. So you'll see a little box there. You see it's circled in red where you can type any questions, and you can even choose if you want the question to be available to everyone or if you want the question just to go to Alyssa and me. And what we're going to do is we will answer some questions at the end of the webinar for sure. And we will also, by the way, we're going to build an FAQ, frequently asked question sheet, and we're going to post that on our toolkit. So if you forget the answer or if we don't get to your question today, you can log on, and we'll have that up within a day or two. We need to type it and answer the questions, obviously, before we put them up. So again, you see the question slot there, and you can just type questions, and we'll take those at the end. All right, let's see if we have any. Oh, we've got a question already. Okay, we've got some good questions. We've got some screen sharing. Excellent. If you do not use all your materials during your tech night, can you hold multiple? Absolutely. Those are great questions. Okay, and I won't be answering them all as they come along, but I just wanted to check that everyone can hear me and there's people starting to fill it in. Great. So now we know our GoToWebinar. You know how to type questions. Hopefully everyone can hear me. You don't need to worry about your speakers or being muted just because we're going to take questions that you type in. All right. So this is and I'm doing this very briefly. Part of the reason we're doing this is because if this is a slide you want to use when you're making the cell, I think you all know STEM jobs. I mean, there are a huge number of STEM jobs now and predicted in the future, and there's a shortfall in the number of capable students, capable employees that can fill these jobs. We also know that many of these jobs are well paid, above the national average, and we know that a lot of them only require a 2-year degree. Sometimes there's a myth, both parents and students, and even amongst ourselves, that, a STEM job means I have to go to college for 9 years and be $1 million in debt. And you know what? Yes, there are some jobs like that, right? If you're going to be a brain surgeon and if you're not able to get any loans or if you don't manage, there are some. I don't want to say that that's not. But there are, even for, if you want to go to college and on to med school, there's lots of scholarships and there's lots of opportunities to help manage your debt. But there are also a lot of really high-paid STEM jobs. I'm talking $60,000, $70,000 a year and up, where you only need a 2-year degree. And this is one of the reasons why we at the National PTA, we wanted to focus on STEM. And we think it's a great chance to bring families together. There's definitely a need. There's a need going forward. And we think it's a really important role that PTAs can play. This is something where we've seen PTAs already making a huge difference around the United States. So that's kind of, if anyone wants more on that, you can Google STEM. You can ask me for some research. We have lots of it. I suspect everyone out here has already heard and is already a believer. So that's a quick overview on STEM plus families. Let's get down to your grants. Okay, so you are going to be hosting a tech night this spring. And if you remember, one of the conditions is it has to happen by the end of this school year. That's why we've got March 15th to June 30th. If it can't happen this school year, please let us know right away. We most likely will have to move on. But we do, that is it. And that's a requirement from Microsoft, from our grant, from our funding partnership with them. So that's not something, we're not doing that just to make your lives difficult. In future, we'd love to give you more advance notice, and if we can do that, we will. We are going to have a toolkit, and we're actually going to jump screens, if I can manage the technology, a little bit later in this website, in this webinar, and I'm going to show you where it is, but there is the web address in case you want to see the toolkit. This is a work in progress. We've got some documents up. We're going to be adding more and more over the coming weeks, including, by the way, a very cool step-by-step photo. What are we calling it, Alyssa? A photo journal, or what would we call it?
Photo carousel.
Photo carousel, because we have done pilot events with this Microsoft now. We've done 2 here in Alexandria, South Shore and Whitman, wonderful. We've done one in Houston, and we did one in Baltimore. So we have, we wanted to make sure that this model works, and we've made it a little bit better every time. But we have lots of pictures to show with you, and the hope is that by doing this photo carousel, You will be able to see step by step what these events look like for other PTAs and other schools, and it'll help make your process as easy as possible. Okay, you're going to want to arrange for food and prizes, and then you're going to want to share your success, photos, and evaluation. All right, let's take a look at some of the goals of our tech night. And you know, I could just open and close with that picture in the top right. That's a goal, right? I mean, actually, this is an incredibly heartwarming story. That's a family. That's a father and daughter. They have been over from Puerto Rico, where they left due to the lack of power and a lot of the situation that was going on over there in the school. And they had come to an Alexandria school. They had been here less than a month, and the whole family came out to this tech night. And it was amazing to see the dad and daughter, and there's a son and mother. They work together on the finger, and just the joy, right? I mean, I should just be quiet and just say that's the goal. Make that happen. But of course, I won't be quiet. I am going to keep going. The tech night, family engagement. This is a key concept. This needs to be a shared experience. This is not parents on the corner on their phones. This is parent and child working together. And we want families to explore STEM, and we want kids to become interested in STEM. If they walk around going, "Oh, that was cool," all right, that's going to be a good outcome. Those are high-level goals. I think we know that as PTAs, and you also, you know, the reason we selected your PTA and are so excited about this group of 35 is because you talked about how you would make this happen in your schools and with your communities. Okay, this is the toolkit. There's a direct reference. You will see, by the way, there's mother and son in the bottom right. I mean, talk about work. They could not be, they are literally working together. They could not be working together anymore, right? You see them building the robotic finger. There's the toolkit address, and you'll see make connections, plan your event, promote your event, host your event, wrap up. And what I'd like to do is what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you over to our online toolkit. So if you go, and I'm just checking with Alyssa's much more technically fluent than I am, so I'm just checking with her to make sure we're doing this. So what I've done, you should all see on your screen, you should see the National PTA website, which you can access, I said on the webinar, pta.org/STEM/tech/toolkit, or you can do the full address up there. This is what you're going to see. When I'm scrolling down, you'll see our 5 different steps. Make connections, plan your event, promote your event, host your event, wrap up. And we are going to put a boatload of resources there for you. If you've seen our math toolkit or our science toolkit before, you know we give you lots and lots of templates. We tried to meet everything that a PTA tells us they want. If there's something you want and you don't see it on here, let us know and we'll add it. So we've got everything from, you know, if you wanted to do a listening session with your community, to figure out exactly what they want, we've got guidelines. Now, keep in mind, by the way, the one thing we are asking for your indulgence, we are still building this right now. So some of these documents are being populated. Plan your event, right? We've got volunteer sign-up sheets. We've got, if you're looking for donations, so more and more documents are going to be added here. Promote your event. This is one that a lot of PTAs have found incredibly helpful. And I'm going to go ahead and show you, let me just highlight a couple of things. Look at this press template. So I'm opening up a Word document, and it's going to be, look at this. You can fill in, see the highlighted? You can fill in your PTA's logo and name, and we've got a quote from Jim Akamondo, the president of the National PTA, on here, and then you can add in if you have a quote from your local PTA, and you can send this around to all the press, all the media people in your area. Get some pub for your school and your PTA. You can go ahead and do that right now. Well, I would suggest listening to the rest of the webinar, but as soon as the webinar is over, you can go ahead and do this. Let's go back. Another thing I wanted to show you that is on our website, look at this. We have got, a lot of PTAs have told us they find it incredibly helpful to see actual templates. So look at this. We are giving you, and these are in Word, they're editable, editable. Yeah, that's a word, right? Editable? Yeah, it sounds a little too close to edible. They are editable, so you can put your school and your PTA. And I'm not going to go through all four, but you can see how we've got. I do like them all though, and they're all a little bit different. So depending on where you want your logo, and we're going to we'll keep putting more stuff up here. But I know this was a big thing for a lot of schools. They thought the promotional flyers, like these are the kind of things you can hang, you can send home with teachers, with your students in backpacks, anything like that. All right, so let's jump back into our webinar. You've seen our toolkit.
We're not back yet. There we are.
There we go. So now you've seen our toolkit with the documents, so that's going to be a big resource for you. All right, let's take a look at some of the promotions that we've seen. Look at this really complicated, not complicated, really in-depth, awesome on the left-hand side. This was one of our amazing, Samantha Fields, and one of our amazing PTA leaders at Hammond here in Alexandria. She created this. I think she must have like a tech background. We will make this available to you though, so if you want to model it. And then you can see on the right, Sherry Nanakni at Whitman, our great PTA leader at Whitman. You know, she made full-size posters to welcome the families in when they came into the cafeteria. So this was a flyer. The one on the left is a flyer that went home as an email attachment and was printed up around the school. And the one on the right is an example of something you can do night of. Let's get down, let's get some nitty gritty, all right? So I'm giving you an example of some flyers. And don't forget, we can translate all that. Let's get down to some nitty gritty around the tech night, because I know a lot of you out there, you think, maybe you watched the Facebook Live last week, hopefully where we made the announcement about the winners. And if you didn't, by the way, one reason I would strongly suggest going back to look at that Facebook Live, and it's on the National PTA website, look under videos, is because I actually show you 2 videos that have examples of the robotic flex sensor, the robotic finger or flex sensor in motion. So I would really suggest going back just to see those videos, and there's an Animoto where we collected lots of pictures, so I would suggest going back and looking at that. All right, so when we're talking about planning your event, you've seen some of the promotional flyers, and hopefully, I know a lot of you, if you've got children or families that speak different languages, a lot of you talked about using community liaisons or translating the flyers into Spanish or into a language of choice. We might have some translations, we'll post them, but if you have somebody on site or somebody for your district who does translations, I would suggest going ahead and making that happen as soon as you can. All right, so you want to start your initial planning. That's today. You know, at the beginning of the webinar, we asked you for if you have a date for your event already. I think everybody on this webinar knows that we gave you a heads up about 2 weeks ago, you know, intentionally ahead of the Facebook Live, the official reveal, because once we had you selected, we wanted to give you as much time as possible. We know getting the volunteers, getting the school space, clearing your own calendar, planning, we know that takes a lot of time. We wanted to give you as much as we can while recognizing that it's a tight timeline before June 2018. So you're going to be planning your event. One huge question is, what kind of supplies does each school need to provide? Okay, so for the Microsoft robotic finger activity, I want to be very clear, each school needs to provide 3 things: scissors, wire cutters, and Scotch tape. Scissors, 1 per 2 attendees, and when I say attendee, I'm meaning parent and children. So if you think there's going to be 150 people, you know, about 80 kids and 70 parents at your night, you would need 75 scissors, 75 pairs of scissors. And they can be the small classroom pairs of scissors. You can borrow these from the school. You can order them online. You will need wire cutters. And I would suggest 1 for every 5 people that are attending, because they can share the wire cutters. There's 2 wires to snip. And then Scotch tape, I would suggest as well. Okay. This is what you need. Microsoft and National PTA will be sending you all the other consumable materials. And do you see this gentleman on the right here? This is our night at Whitman. We are probably going to be sending you these big Pelican cases right there. You're going to unpack. So on the night of your event, we'll send the materials out about a week ahead of time. On the night of your event, you're going to be, I mean, hopefully before that, you're going to unpack them, but that's what you're going to have right there with all the supplies you need. Then in addition to that, we supply the things that schools do, right? That for a normal PTA event, you know, you can tables, chairs, food, volunteers, gifts, prizes, you know, raffle things, those kind of things. But I know a lot of people were asking, well, what am I doing for this tech night? What's the supplies? Who's providing what? You know what? Let me reinforce it with you, or just reinforce this with some concrete, okay? The top picture, you are seeing all the consumables or the supplies that Microsoft will send you. There's a U-gouge, you see some wire, you see some copper tape, you see some Velostat, you see a cardboard outline of the finger. And this is one way to set up your tables where each person goes through and they know to collect one set of the facilitator's guide, one of the cardboard, one U-gouge, 2 yellow wires, 2 of the Velostat, and then 4, I think that's copper tape is the last thing. At the bottom, you're seeing the table set up. So this is where your Scotch tape and your scissors and your wire cutters would be at each table. You can see there's instructions there, the same instructions that were at the supply table in the top one. And there you're actually seeing, if you look at that little orange thing right here, you can actually see the robotic, that's the actual robotic finger that you're going to be making move. Now let me be, I just need to be very precise because my friends at Microsoft are always very precise. They tell me that we're actually making a flex sensor that controls a robotic finger. I told my friends at Microsoft, I love you very much, but advertising that we're making a flex sensor is not going to get nearly as many people as we say, hey, come make a robotic finger. So technically we're making a flex sensor, but it controls a robotic finger. And the benefits of this, right? I mean, when you're talking to your folks, to your PTA people, when you're talking to your students when you're talking to your parents on the night of the event, we're going to send you talking points, by the way, so don't worry about that. You can talk about, I mean, this fits into prosthetics, bioengineering. I mean, the Iron Man movie set, the kids are making stuff that goes into that. This is all, by the way, it's all part of a much bigger lesson plan that Microsoft has online where you can build a whole hand. But building the whole hand takes about 3 weeks of class time. The activity we're doing, the actual activity will probably take about half an hour to 40 minutes. So, you know, once you figure in gifts, you know, a welcome, figure in families eating, and then you figure maybe the last 15, 20 minutes for wrap up and gifts. And then we all know that families come at different times. We recommend an event length of about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. All right, let's keep going. I want to keep showing you some pictures again to show you. I would like everyone to leave being very clear. The top 2 pictures, you're seeing a top down and a side view of the flex sensor. That's the robotic finger, right? The flex sensor. This is what every parent and student is going to build, and they're going to put on their finger. Now, truth be told, most of the parents put it on their kids' fingers and every pair built 1, which is fine. You will see that number that times 100. Microsoft and National PTA are going to send you enough of that stuff, that's the copper tape, the wires, the Velostat, the cardboard, to build 100 flex sensors, or the fingers you see up top. You're going to get enough materials to build 100 of those. So that means your event can host 200 people, right? Because every 2 people are going to build 1. Maybe you'll have some extras. By the way, if you think you're going to have more than 200 people, right? And you need more supplies, let us know. Our friends at Microsoft have said they will send extras if you think your PTA needs it. That's right. Okay, let's look at the bottom picture. So the top pictures are what each parent and child is going to build and put on their finger. In the bottom picture, you will see parent and child hook their fingers up to those little, see the green color, the red color, and the green color looks like a straw thing. That's the actual robotic finger. Once the parent and child hook their finger up to that fancy little contraption called the finger rig, when they move their finger, the contraption's finger will move. So technically the student is moving the flex sensor that's on their hand, and it will move the robotic finger. And again, if you want to see this in action, check out the videos that are in the Facebook Live that I did last week. It was, what day was the Facebook Live?
Thursday.
Last Thursday, March, I think that was the 8th. But you can see it on the National PTA's Facebook website if you want to see the finger moving. But my hope is that this really helps clarify what you're going to be doing on your tech night. Now, every PTA, there are 35 of us total, 35 grant winners. Every PTA is going to be building the flex sensors / robotic fingers. Every PTA. We have a very special additional option this year, and it's only for 5 PTAs. Let's take a look. This is the coding option. And I say it's an option because this is something you would do in addition to the robotic finger exercise. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any extra money to share. Our budget ran to just the 35 grants. So this would be something that if your PTA thinks you can do it with the same $1,000 with that grant, or if you have extra money, then we would love to get volunteers. There is a requirement, which is that your PTA, your school, has enough laptops, one for every 2 people that you think are going to attend. So if you think 100 people are going to attend, you would need at least 50 laptops. And they have to be laptops with internet connection. You're going to link to the web. Tablets won't work because the just the functionality is slowed down. Desktop computers would work. It just means that you have to be in a room to use them, right? So laptops would be easiest. And we're taking volunteers that are interested in doing this in addition to the robotic finger. That's why it's called an option. And I know some of the PTAs, some of you have already emailed me with an interest. So what we're going to do is Alyssa and I are going to wait until Friday to see if any other PTAs email us with an interest in the coding option, and then we're going to make a decision and reach out to those. We'll talk to our Microsoft folks. We'll reach out to those 5 PTAs that are chosen if we have 5 that can volunteer. It's a very cool event. Let me walk you through it. So you see awesome pictures of this was from South Shore K-8 out in Seattle, Washington. We had just a great team out there. We had a wonderful night, and you can see parent and children working together. You can see, you see the food on the tables. What I wanted, I'll give you an overview. You see that in the top left, those are 4 Minecraft-like scenes. They're 4 puzzles. And the way this night works is that each table works on one or more of these puzzles. And you start with sort of a very basic screen in Minecraft, and you have to figure out how to use code to build a screen that looks like the puzzle screen. I hope that makes sense. You are going to try to make on your laptop, each parent and child is going to try to work together to make the screen on the laptop look like the screen in the printed puzzle. That's another way of phrasing it. I hope that's clear enough. If not, we can do a separate webinar for those folks. We can do more pictures. But again, we're taking 5. The reason we're only taking 5 is just because this is a new pilot. We haven't done it before. We want to see how it works. You're not going to need to install any computer software. It's completely web-based. And so you just need to have 1 laptop with internet. So now again, this is an option. Let's look at the requirements. So this is an addition to the robotic finger night. Parent-child pairs solve the coding problem. We need 5 PTA volunteers. You see my sad emoji over there. That's only, my sad emoji is only because we don't have extra money. Trust me, if we had extra money, we would love to give it to you. But we don't have any extra money, so we're looking for PTAs who can either stretch that original $1,000, which hopefully you can, or PTAs who maybe have some extra money or who can do this low cost. Because for this one, remember, there's no real cost for it. You're going to be using the laptops. Maybe you want to have some prizes and you want to have some food. There are no materials costs apart from the laptop. We're taking volunteers only. If you're interested, there's Alyssa's email address. We're going to take volunteers until this Friday. And at this Friday, we'll see, if we have 5 volunteers, your odds are good. If we have 10 volunteers, that's awesome. And we will try to pick the 5 that are sort of the most diverse and that are also have the laptop and have the capacity and can do it this spring. All right, we need one laptop with a screen. We told you that. Rapid internet. This is, oh, we have some questions. Can this be done at the same time as a robotic finger activity? We are strongly recommending you don't. And the reason I say that is these aren't like stations. You know, with, for example, with our Bayer Science Festival, we did stations where, you know, you spend 3 or 4 minutes making slime and then you go do an Alka-Seltzer rocket and you're doing cool little science experiments and you went to 10 different tables. With this one, you really need to work on the robotic finger for about a half an hour, dedicated time. And then you really need to, you know, in order to solve one of these Minecraft puzzles and the coding puzzles, you really need to work on it for kind of 10 or 15 minutes, maybe longer for each puzzle. If you're not one of the 5 selected, we're going to check with Microsoft, but I think we can share the problems with you as well. And then you're still welcome to use our toolkit. You know, our toolkit's online. You know, look, and I think many of you out there, and I know our friends at Microsoft, we want to spread this and share this coding with as many schools as possible. The reason we're limiting it to 5 this year in terms of the volunteers for the coding night is just, it's how many Alyssa and I can support while we're running around also trying to support 35 PTAs doing the robotic finger. But if you want to take it on your own, we're happy to share the materials. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, we're in the business of getting more people, more PTAs. We want to reach as many children. We want to reach all children as possible. But again, if you're interested in getting the support from us to do it this year, email Alyssa by Friday for sure. Hopefully you'll be able to do it by June 2018. We're going to have a toolkit for this. We'll have a facilitator's guide. And then we're going to ask that you submit your evaluation materials, which is the same as the robotic finger. And the evaluation materials, why do we ask for that? Not just to make your lives more difficult. We ask for that because we want to get better. You know, hopefully we'll be doing these grants again next year, and we want to learn from you, the pilot group. So what can we do to make these grants better? I'm going to run through a couple of slides quickly. This is something, I think many PTAs know, but I just, wanted to put up a few reminders. You see a sign, you see a welcome Whitman families in the top right. That was from our Whitman pilot. You see the tables down there. You want to think through, you see the tables with the tablecloths. Do you want to have your food in a separate area? I've seen that done. Do you want to have your food, everyone eats first? I've seen PTAs do pizzas. I've seen our friends at Holland Meadows have done some Noodles & Co. That's gone over really well. You have to think about, what's your capacity for serving, what's your budget, how many people, all those kind of things. Do you want to have a separate food area? Probably better to have a separate food area. Maybe you have families come in first and eat, and then you start the activity. You make a few announcements. You thank Microsoft, thank National PTA, thank the school principal. Kind of say what's the benefit of STEM. We'll give you some talking points, and then you have the students go look in the bottom left. We've got 2 of our PTA volunteers from Whitman. They were staffing the table, and what happened is every parent and child went up there together, and they had to go up together. Remember, we're promoting family engagement, and they picked up their materials. These are the same materials I talked to you about that Microsoft and National PTA are sending you for free. And you spread them out on the table, and then everyone went back to their seats and sat down and started to build. And they were working as parent and kids. So, a couple of other tips on here. If you want to issue raffle tickets, food tickets, if you use those, you want to get a consent to photo form if your school doesn't already have everyone signed. We've got a template we're going to share with you, but that's because you're also going to share some of these photos with National PTA so we can use them, and you might be in our next slideshow, our next presentation, our next Facebook Live. And your MC can officially welcome families to the event if you want to lay down a few rhymes. I don't know if that's just a terrible dad joke or that's just a terrible joke in general. Just whenever I see the term MC, give an overview of the event at the beginning. All right, so hopefully everyone right now is thinking to themselves, wow, Sean has really given us a great overview of this event, and I feel like I know what I'm doing. And if you don't, please hit me up in the questions, because I want everybody to leave here kind of thinking, oh, I see how this event's going to run, and I want you to start thinking about, this is how I'm going to do it in my head. Okay. Some of you may already know you're getting a ThinkFun game pack. Our friends at ThinkFun are also huge supporters. They are one of the national leaders in promoting critical thinking in STEM games. And I don't just say that because we partner with them. We partnered with them because they do that. And I actually field tested all the games with my kids, and I can attest they definitely promote thinking skills. We are getting each PTA on here, including, by the way, in case I think everyone knows this, we had 20 states and we have a Department of Defense school in Germany who won awards this year. So we are across the United States and into Europe. Every PTA is getting 6 games for free. So if for some reason, for example, an invoice shows up, that's just because of the shipping. It shouldn't. The ThinkFun has given everybody 6 games, and we have already given the addresses to ThinkFun. It was the address that was on your grant application. So your games are being shipped to whatever address. Usually it's the PTA president and then at the school address. Look for those games. They are already being in the process of being shipped. If anyone has an address change, you can try to get that to me ASAP, get that to Alyssa or me ASAP, and we can check if yours has been shipped. I can't make promises though, because I think most of them we wanted to get them out already because we know you're doing your events very quickly. So you're going to get at least 6. You're going to get 6 games from ThinkFun. They're going to be 3 of their very cool laser maze games and 3 of their very, very cool best-selling game, On the Brink, which is a great introduction to robot and coding. And you can use those as prizes. You can also supplement with other prizes. You know, I've seen PTAs do some of the most creative stuff ever. I've seen some PTAs do first 20 families to register online through a Google registration sheet, get a $5 Dunkin' Donuts gift card. I've seen some PTAs do first 10 families to show up, get a $10 gift card. I have seen some PTAs be really creative and give teachers $25 gift cards if they show up. Some have had, sometimes PTAs have used their, because the $1,000 you get in grant money, you can use, right? You need to get scissors, wire cutters, and Scotch tape. Hopefully that's not too expensive. Maybe you can even borrow some of those. But you can use some of that money to incentivize teachers to come, to incentivize parents to come. If you need to get a bus, if you need to get translators, if you need to get anything like that, it should really be enough for you to be able to welcome all families and to offer some really cool prizes. We're getting a lot of questions. How many laptops do you need for the robotic fingers? Believe it or not, that's going to be up to you. Now, why do you say that? That's not helpful, Sean. I know that. Well, here's why. We are going to offer an extension activity. In other words, for some of your more advanced students who finish building the robotic finger, right? We talked about that. They can actually hook it up to a laptop and an Excel program, and they can get into some really, really cool and pretty complex STEM, like some charts and some Excel documents. It is not mandatory though. But if you have laptops available and you look at these things online, you look at the extension activity online so you can explain it, you can use those laptops. You could have one table that has laptops at it. And it's just for people who finish first. By the way, if I could give you probably my #1 tip for doing the robotic finger, which everyone is doing, I would suggest get your core group of volunteers. Maybe it's you and your science teacher and your programs chair, if you're lucky enough to have, or your core volunteer group, and build a finger ahead of time so you know how it works. Does that make sense? Because when you sit down with this material, you're like, oh, there's wires and copper tape and Velostat and a U-gouge and Scotch tape, and I need to use wire cutters for this. It can seem complicated. But once you've done it once, you're like, oh, piece of cake. And I hope that by seeing a lot of the pictures today, and again, go back to the Facebook Live from last Thursday if you want to see video of what it looks like. In motion. But I hope everyone is now like they have a good visual and they're kind of like, yeah, I feel like I know what I'm doing now. I feel like I know what we're building. All right, keep going with a few more tips. And you will see Again, there's more pictures. I hope you're liking the pictures. Some of these you're going to see in the photo carousel. In the top left, you're seeing I think that's a father and a son, and you're seeing them look at the facilitator guide together, and they're building the robotic thing, the flex sensor, right? They're building it together. In the bottom left, you're seeing something very, very cool. So one of our groups at Whitman, the Girl Scouts heard about the event, and they said, let's make it our STEM badge. So we had a whole Girl Scout troop show up with, of course, their parents and their who leads the Girl Scout troop? Guides, leaders, troop leaders with the troop leaders, and the Girl Scout Grand Guru. I'm not sure I'm sure lots of you know the term and will gently correct me in email and through the question in the comment section. But they showed up with their troop leader. And they got their STEM badge and they worked together and they were wearing their Girl Scout uniforms. Again, there were parents and troop leaders with them. And they were very excited. They got to work on building the robotic finger. You're seeing in the bottom left, there's a mic. That's a whole hand model that we had brought out for some of the pilots. And I'm going to try to get it to some of the schools, but we only have a couple of hand models. That's the hand model being where the whole finger works. So we'll see if we can get that out. I got to talk to our friends at Microsoft, figure out what the shipping schedule is. I don't want to overpromise on any of that. I also want to suggest, by the way, we had 2 questions about materials. Will they arrive in time for an April 10th event? So get your award letter in ASAP, right? You know, Alyssa emailed you yesterday. Your award letter is basically, it's your formal acceptance of the grant and you agree to do everything. You know, you agree. We're not just sending you $1,000 for you to go, you to go to Cabo, although that'd be nice. And if you do go, let me know, but not with the grant money. So we're getting you to officially agree and accept the grant. Once we get your award letter in, if you confirm your date, okay, so especially people who are looking at early dates, get your award letter, get your dates in ASAP, and Alyssa and I will get in touch with our friends at Microsoft and get that stuff out. So today is March 13th. If you get your date in by the end of the week, so that's March 16th, and you get your award letter in, so we know you're doing it, and you tell us you've got an April 10th event, then yes, you will definitely get your materials by April 10th. Okay? Just wanted to promise on that. Another secret thing I want to tease. We are working with Microsoft to get teacher packs. In other words, to get extra materials that can be sent to PTAs that will have teachers who promise to attend the event. In other words, you go to the science teacher at your middle school or 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. You go to your teacher and you say, hey, if you come to this event, I am going to get Microsoft and National PTA to send an additional, or I'm going to try to get them to send an additional 50 pieces of the flex sensor so you can build it in your class afterwards, or so you can have it in your class for next year, or so you can build the whole hand with the after school coding group, right? Because remember we said you're building one finger during these nights, but it's part of a whole hand. Well, we are working with Microsoft. We're trying to finalize it. I'm just teasing it right now because I can't commit officially, but I do want to put on your radar, talk to your teacher, see if you can get a teacher to agree to attend, and that teacher would get, what we're trying to finalize, the teacher would get a teacher pack, an extra 50. So, when the materials get shipped to you, it would have an extra thing that says teacher pack in it, and there would be an extra 50 items, the 50 sets of the copper wire, the Velostat, the cardboard, the U-gouge, for your teacher to use in his or her classroom after the event. So put that on your radar if you could. Let's look through Tech Nights. Anything on here? Finish the games. If you're doing passports, anything like that, doing raffles, thank everyone. We're going to give you some tips to say thank you at the end to link this to the real world. Pack up the materials. Thank your volunteers. Clean up. Woof. Again, look, this is stuff this is right in the PTA wheelhouse, right? We do events. We've done events. You've done events. Lots of events at your school. You've seen events. You've been to events. The event part, you know how to do, right? I'm talking about getting the food, getting volunteers, getting people organized, getting them in the door. And hopefully from this webinar today, you feel like you now have a really good sense. Oh, Microsoft's going to send me all these materials. I need to have wire cutters, scissors, and Scotch tape. And then I'm going to spread the materials out on the table. Parents and children are going to pick them up, and then they're going to go back and work at the tables by themselves, with each other. But they're going to work together to build the flex sensor. and then they're going to hook it up to a finger rig, and they're going to get to see it finger rig. They're going to see fingers. They're going to move their finger and see the finger rig move. That's the activity. It's, on the one hand, it's very simple, and at the same time, it's very cool, and it's got pretty big implications for STEM, for prosthetics, for bioengineering, for all sorts of very cool STEM subjects. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How do I get my cheddar, my cash, my dough, the dinero, what we promised, what you earned, what we're excited to share with you? Okay, there's going to be 2 disbursements. As soon as we get your reward letter and your W-9 and your ACH, you get $800. We're going to cut that check. Now, a couple of points on that. One, I think as Alyssa mentioned yesterday, we really only need your EIN form. It was in her email from yesterday. So you can send the W-9 or the EIN. If you've already sent your W-9, you're fine. The award letter, that needs to be signed. Again, that's just saying that you promised to do the event, and if something comes up, you really can't do the event, which not ideal, but it has happened very infrequently, but it has happened. You can, then you'll return the money. And the ACH form, I think the ACH form is the form if you want to do bank transfer. Okay, if you want to do a bank transfer, so the money goes straight from the National PTA bank account to your PTA's bank account. We do say you have to leave up to $500, up to 5 to 6 weeks to get the money. That's why folks, get me and Alyssa your stuff as soon as you can so we can start the check request. Okay. At the end, after your event, there's another $200 you can get by sending in surveys, pictures. Remember, you've gotten everyone's permission. You've used the photo consent forms. Everyone signed those, and you've taken pictures at your event. You send them in to us. And then there's a follow-up evaluation and a feedback form. And Alyssa will send you everything before your event, including the surveys that you're going to put out. And the goal behind this is we want to get better. We want to draw on your experience this year, so next year's PTAs are having an easier time, and it's really making a difference for more STEM people, more STEM children. By the way, looking ahead down the road, once you've done this event once, if you want to do it again, keep in touch. You can do it again. I mean, there's no secrets, and we'll try to help you. Even if you have to buy the materials from Microsoft, the material cost is pretty low per student. But that's for next year. We'll keep talking about that down the road. So you will get an extra $200 once you send in your evaluation. Okay? We've got just another slide, and then I've got one more poll. So let me, if you have questions, you go to pta.org/STEM. There's our Toolkit address again. All right, that's the online. There's Alyssa's email address. Email Alyssa, wonderful program manager, but she knows everything about this program and about PTA and all the forms and everything. I mean, going to be in touch with her. There's a phone number you can call as well, and then that dumps into my voicemail box or Alyssa's voicemail box, and we will call you back. Email is probably easier, just to be honest, just because then we can email you at off hours. But yeah, we respond to phone calls and email. Email a little bit easier and a little bit of a preference if you can. Besides, everyone on here is probably thinking to themselves, I've heard enough of this guy talking. In the bottom right, you can see this was one of our pilot events in Houston. You see in the middle the Hacking STEM picture. That is from like I said, this is part of a bigger Microsoft lesson plan, which is available for free online, by the way, where classes can build a whole hand, a whole robotic hand. In our nights, we're just building one finger. Okay, so everyone sees where the questions are. This slideshow will come out to you later. So will a YouTube link to the webinar. I'm going back. Why am I going back? I'm going back because I wanted to show you again. Everyone is doing the robotic finger night. Okay, this one right here, this slide where you're building the fingers and then students are going to hook it up. We also need 5 PTAs who are interested in volunteering for the coding option. So this would be a second tech night. And remember that we're going to take about 5 PTAs. You need to have laptops. You need to have internet. And unfortunately, we can't give you any extra money. We can give you the, the Microsoft coding problems, and we'll give you as much support as we can, but you have to make the event happen on your own with the same amount of money. If you are interested, I am launching a poll right now. So if you could just give us a little bit of a heads up, and it's okay if you're not interested. We know there's a capacity limit. We know PTAs, there's a limited number of times you can go to the well and ask people to volunteer.
So while people are doing the poll, I'm just going to circle back and make sure that we hit the questions we haven't answered yet. So Sean, can you explain what the finger rig is and how it works? We have lots of questions around what is the finger rig.
Good question. Thank you, Alyssa. Let me jump back if I could then, folks. What I'll do is I'll actually go back in the slide so I can show you. Okay, let's look at this slide here. Let's look at the bottom right picture. Bottom right picture. And you see a little green straw, and it's attached to what looks like a wood case that's a little bit bigger than a, what is that a little bit bigger than? A little bigger than a deck of cards. And that's got a little battery and a motor in it. That is the finger rig. That's what I'm talking about. Microsoft, and thank you, Alyssa, and thank you to the people out there who raised this question. Microsoft will be sending these to your school. Okay? They're not to keep. Those we need to send back. And Microsoft will also send you a return address label. So they're going to be shipped to your school. You will need to do a little bit of assembly.
Oh, they only still see the poll.
Oh, you only see the poll. Thanks for that heads up, folks. Thanks for that heads up. So I am going to, let me go ahead. I'm going to close the poll.
Yep. And now we have the right picture.
Okay, now you see. Sorry. So let's look at the picture in the bottom right. And again, I'll just highlight the green straw with the little wood device that looks like it's a little bit bigger than a deck of cards. That is the finger rig. Okay, and if you see the young man, the son in the picture in the bottom right, he has the flex sensor on his finger, and you'll see the wires get hooked up to the finger rig. And then when he moves his finger, the green straw thing is going to move, the finger rig. So Microsoft will be sending finger rigs to your school. They will take a small amount of assembly. You have to put the green straw on there, and you have to wind a twine through. But there will be batteries hooked up to it. You will use them the night of your event, and then you will send them back to Microsoft with a prepaid address label.
Sean, how many finger rigs will they get from Microsoft?
Good question. These are all good questions. I should stop saying that. We are hoping to get each school 10 finger rigs. So that will be, if you have 10 tables, I can't promise, because part of that is going to depend on, if we have 8 schools that decide to do their STEM night their tech night on the exact same night, we might need to go to 5 or 6 finger rigs each. But let's assume a floor of 5 finger rigs per school, a floor. And I'll work with our friends on Microsoft. And if for any reason we can't do that, our folks at Microsoft on the Hacking STEM team, they're amazing. They're so flexible, and they really are, they are doing this to spread STEM. I mean, they're partnering with us to send the stuff out for free, and they're going to send the finger rigs. So we're going to send at least 5, maybe up to 10 finger rigs, right? And then you're going to need to put the finger rig, minimal assembly, but you're going to need to put it together on the day of. That's another reason we recommend, this is not a Christmas or Hanukkah type experience where you wait till the day of to open the gifts. I would say open those beforehand so you know what the materials are if you can. You can look through, like I said, I recommend that if you can put together one of the flex sensors ahead of time so you know how it works, maybe with some of your key volunteers. And then if you can put together the finger rigs ahead of time, I mean, we all know you show up on the day of and that you're a lot less stressed out.
Sean, are they sending the laptops with the finger rigs, or will the PTA leaders need to have a laptop ready to go from the school to hook up to the finger rig?
So I'm going to work, our friends in Microsoft said they were going to see if they could send a laptop with every finger rig. Can you, with one laptop per school, so we could have at least one to hook up to the finger rig. If you have more laptops, it's a basic, as long as the laptop has Excel on it, you can hook your laptop up to the finger rig. So I will confirm with Microsoft, and we will let you know if they're sending a laptop and if how many. And again, part of the reason that we're being a little bit vague is it just depends on when we find out your dates. You know, if we have, because I recognize your dates are subject to your school calendar and your own personal availability and your PTA team's availability. You know, if we could put every tech night a week apart, then that would give us lots of time to get lots of finger rigs and laptops to circulate. But it's going to depend partly on the scheduling and what we can figure out with our friends from Microsoft.
So just to confirm, they won't need to load any software onto the laptop to have the finger rig work.
Correct. This will be a, whether it's sent from Microsoft or if you're using your own laptops, as long as you have Excel on there, it will be, you're not going to need to load anything. You're not going to need to delete anything afterwards. And for the coding night as well, you do not need to load anything. It's web-based, meaning that they go to a site on the web and they access, you know, for the coding, and all the coding commands and how to do it are web-based. There's nothing to download, or, you know, there's no secret catch that's going to lock onto your computer and send you advertisements for refinancing your mortgage for the next 15 years.
Will they also be able, if a school wanted to build their own finger rig separately, will they have the instructions to do that as well?
That is a really good question. You know what? Let me follow up with my friends from Microsoft and see. And the reason, can I let you in? Can I let everyone in on a secret? Well, it's not really, it's going to be a secret just amongst the 37 of us. You can't actually buy this kit yet. Now you can buy the materials individually and separately, right? I mean, it's not that it's proprietary or secret. I mean, Microsoft put it together, but you can't actually buy the finger rig. You know, like there's no one kit that you can buy to make the finger rig, or one kit to make the robotic finger, what we're doing. You can buy everything separately. The reason there's no one kit to do it is because our friends at Microsoft, they are actually trying to make this accessible and affordable for children across the country interested in STEM. True story. I was out there, we were talking about it, and I was like, we need to make this. And everyone they've gone to so far wants a really high premium on making the kit. And Microsoft said, no, that's not the goal. Our friends in Hacking STEM, I mean, we're good friends. We work together on multiple pilots. So I will see if there's a way. I mean, maybe they could just send out a list of where to buy all the materials, and then a school could put together your finger rig, because then you could keep it, right, afterwards. A finger rig would cost, let me think here out loud for a second. A finger rig would cost you about, I would say, $20 to $25, and the reason is it's got a motor in it. I mean, that's the part that actually costs something. You know, the rest of it is pretty inexpensive. Now I'm talking about the finger rig itself. That's what we see in the bottom right of the screen. The materials for the robotic, for the flex sensor, what the kids are going to be wearing on their fingers, those are, I mean, probably, you know, 30 cents if you buy in bulk worth of materials. And it's great. Microsoft is assembling and paying, and they're going to ship them to you for free. But if you want to do that going forward, right? I mean, it's the finger rig is the more expensive part, and that's just because it has a motor, and you know, you need to buy the motor. Now, it's also something you could look at as an investment. That's something your school, your PTA could use forever. I mean, how excited would your science teachers be if you bought a couple of finger rigs and, you know, you said, we'd like to donate them to school afterwards, or we'd like to, you know, as long as you let them use them for our next PTA event. I'm brainstorming. I'm throwing out ideas. We're going to take one more question, only because of the time. We promised to get everyone off at 2, but keep the questions coming typed. Alyssa and I will respond to all of them. I know we have a couple of things to follow up on Microsoft with. I know that we're going to put up a photo carousel. We're going to keep populating the toolkit. We're going to hear from you with your award letters, and if you're interested in the coding event, and we'll hear from you if you have any questions. Folks, congratulations. You are 35. The first PTAs in the country to be doing the STEM Plus Families Tech Night, but sponsored by the National PTA Microsoft. We're really excited to be working with you. I hope today really helped you see and envision the night a lot better. I hope the news that you can't buy this kit anywhere, it's pretty dang cool. It's really exciting to be doing this hacking STEM activity with Microsoft, and some of you will also be doing the coding stuff. So let's just take, Alyssa, whatever, we'll just take the last question. We're taking them in order. Again, keep them typed up. Keep sending them to us. We're going to put an FAQ document on the website. So if you have more questions and they didn't get answered, we will answer them, folks. We promise. That's what we do here. It's just we don't want to keep everyone listening to me for much longer. So the last question, just whichever one came up.
Well, there's actually 2 super quick, easy ones.
Ah!
Can more than one teacher receive a teacher pack if the teacher packs are happening?
Oh, at the moment, I'm going to have to just say no. And I'm just being cautious on that because, one, I haven't even confirmed with Microsoft if they can officially, because they would be giving the materials to the National PTA would be giving them out. And because I wonder if we would, I mean, some of the schools I went to, their teachers love this activity so much. We had 5 teachers show up for the event, which was awesome. And they gave homework passes to kids, which made more kids and more parents come. Some teachers gave extra credit. But then what if we gave one school, 5 or 6 or 7 teacher packs, and then we don't have enough to give another school? So at the moment, I'm going to say every school is limited to 1 teacher pack. But look, if we can talk our friends into Microsoft into finding more materials and finding more copper wire and all that stuff, and they say, hey, we can do 2 per school, look, we'll do it. So we will, at the moment, I'm going to stick to 1, but we're going to see if we can do more. If it's an option, I will let you know. So at the moment, 1 teacher pack. And again, keep in mind, the teacher pack is something that we're just exploring. I'm not officially committing to it just yet, okay? I want to be honest with you. It's something we're trying to work out. I'd love to be able to do it, but I don't want to overpromise. So the teacher pack, it has an asterisk by it right now. And if it does happen, the double asterisk is 1 per school.
And then finally, Microsoft t-shirts that you were wearing on the Facebook Live. How do PTAs get a hold of those?
Oh, that is a real, how do you get a hold of those? Secret, I got those from my friends at Hacking STEM, like the team that actually built this and put this activity together. And you can see, let me skip ahead. I'm just going to go to the last picture, I think. I think you can see part of the Microsoft team wearing them. And how do you get, yeah, do you see in the bottom, that picture in the bottom right, you can see some of the Microsoft, the 2 ladies in the gray t-shirts on the left-hand side of the picture. One of them has a doctorate, I think, in, we've got Brooke, I think, has a doctorate in neuro, something really incredibly complex and complicated. And they both came out, and then we've got Todd, you can see him. He's the crazy guy just to our right of the pink picture of the hand. Todd is he's an amazing educator based out of Michigan. He's holding up the hand. He's wearing one of the Microsoft shirts as well. They came out and worked with our students, and this was us figuring out how this event worked and seeing how cool it was to see parents and kids connect around it. I mean, it really is awesome. As to the t-shirts, I honestly don't know. I don't know if you can buy them. I don't know how much they would cost. I do know that I would be open to putting mine on eBay, and if there's a bid over $500, you will get it in the mail tomorrow. Barring that, let me talk to my friends at Microsoft. Let's talk to them, and we will see if the t-shirts are available anywhere. They are pretty cool, right, with the hand on them? With the hand. Okay, so again, everybody, thanks for listening for an hour and about 2 minutes. Thank you so much. I really hope it was helpful. Please send us your feedback. Please send us your questions. Congratulations on being the first recipients of the Tech Night grants. You all are, I will not be able to use that line next year. And many of you are probably thinking, I hope he doesn't use any of his lines next year in the webinar, but I certainly won't be able to use the one, thanks for being the first group ever. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was entertaining a little bit. Please send us lots of feedback. Please send us your questions. Alyssa and I are looking forward to working with you. We will circulate the PowerPoint and a YouTube link so you can, share this at your family barbecue. Show this to your friends. Show this to your kids. Tell them, hey, everybody, let's come look at this webinar. And we will be in touch with more emails. We look forward to getting your award letters and any interest in the coding event. Alyssa, is there any, I'm sure there's lots I'm forgetting, but is there anything that, no more questions, no we promise. But is there anything else I'm forgetting that you need right away? The EIN or the W-9, the award letter, and whether you want to do the coding.
Correct.
Get that to us by Friday. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you joining us, and we hope the rest of your day is halfway as informational and entertaining.